Hey guys, welcome to Man Card Mondays, episode number 5. How do I keep the main thing the main thing? Let's get to it! Jeremy Baumann, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, Andy. How are you today?
Awesome. Thank you, sir, for being a guest on our show today, Man Card Mondays, part of the men's ministry we got going here at Lutheran Church of Hope. We just are trying to have weekly conversations around topics that guys can relate to, guys probably need to take care of, right? That's the whole idea behind the Man Card, is that you want to get all the punches so you can get what you need to get the job done, to live the life that God has called you to live. So I am so glad you're here. Are you excited to be here today?
I couldn't be more excited, Andy.
Awesome.
That's part of my day right now. Yeah.
Awesome. I am glad that you're here, specifically because the topic that we're going to talk about today is something I feel like that you have always, not even intentionally, but I think I was kind of thinking through this. And I feel like you're one of these guys that's just great at this particular topic for today. So the topic we're going to talk about is, how do I keep the main thing the main thing? Now, I know for you, at first you hear that word main thing, you're probably thinking Hootie and the Blowfish, like keeping up with their greatest hits and their current touring.
Isn't everybody? Yeah.
But we're actually talking about relationship with God today. How do I keep God as my top priority, my first love? How do I keep my faith fresh and alive and growing and all those things? And again, I totally appreciate you and the way you have modeled that for me. But I wanted to take an opportunity just to kind of pull back the curtain and hear what that's like for you, because one of the things I love about this show is that we get to hear just from the everyday men that are part of our crazy church family and this men's ministry. So, Jeremy, I would love to have you, though, for the guys that are watching this that don't know you, tell us a little bit more about you, besides the fact that you love Hootie and the Blowfish. Let's start there. But what else do we need to know?
It's not just that I love Hootie and the Blowfish, Andy. I'm pretty sure it's Jesus' favorite band as well. But but everybody knew that, right?
Hot take, bold statement, right. Great.
That's right. I'm Jeremy Baumann, and I approve this message. I feel like I kind of have to say that in this political season, right? I approve this message. So, but I'm married to my wife Teresa, and I have 2 kids: Maddie, who is a sophomore in Waukee, and Colby, who is a 6th grader in Waukee. And career-wise, my primary gig is I'm in sales. I'm in with an IT service provider. I've been doing that for about 18 years, and then have a side hustle. I started a few years back. My company is the 2911 Group, where I facilitate life plans for people, which is helping people find their purpose in life, but not just finding it, but also putting a plan together to live it out, right? Because you can know something, but
hey, cool, that's my plan. Well, we should do somebody should do something about
it. Yeah, exactly. That's the important part, living it out. Yeah, so that's my side hustle. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Been on Hope since 2002, and yeah, it's been a crazy long ride there.
Awesome. And Jeremy, you and I worked together a lot with men's ministry stuff, like for quite a stint there until COVID kind of came along, right? You hosted our Getting Started table, which was this place for brand new guys, usually guys that had some stuff come up. Life wasn't working super well for them, or they were just looking for more. God does that to us sometimes as well. Showed up, and you were just fantastic hospitality to welcome them, ask them great questions, like just get to know them a little bit and help point them in the right direction. And I'll tell you, one thing I noticed is we did that over at least over a year and a half, or 2 years, or something like that. Maybe, who knows? I don't know. I lose track of time. Yeah. You never got grouchy. Right? Like I never got the sense talking to you or being around you. And I know you have ups and downs. We all do. But there was something about you that I felt like constantly communicated this sense of peace and just this passion for your faith, for helping other people connect in the kingdom of God as well. And so I just want to ask you some questions about that today. This idea, again, our topic, how do you keep the main thing the main thing. And I think first I would love to just start with just really quickly. I know you can spend a ton of time, but tell us a little bit about how you became a Christian and what is your faith? What does it mean to you today? What does it look like for you to try and follow Jesus uh, in this day and age?
Yeah, yeah. So it's, I grew up going to church, and because I had to, my parents made me. We lived right across the street, and my parents were pretty involved, especially my dad. And I went, but it didn't really mean much, and I participated in various things. But when I got to college, and my freshman year at Iowa State, a couple weeks after school started, a good friend of mine I grew up with who also went to Iowa State. He had committed suicide, and my grandma died on the same day. And so what little faith I had turned into just, whatever. If there's a God, this stuff wouldn't happen, right? Um, and then I lived my life accordingly. Really, I went to church probably a couple times a year. At school, I might feel the urge for whatever reason, or when I was home for Christmas and Easter, I was a womb and tumor. I'd go on Christmas and Easter, and that was really about it. Um, then in after my senior high school, excuse me, my senior year of college, I met who would soon be my wife, who she was really into her faith, and again, didn't really mean much to me. And we got married, and she was adamant about going to church, and the church that she didn't want to go to, or she wanted to go to, I did not want to go to.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was, we're going to go to the church that I want to go to, and I don't know, I'm pounding my fist on the table when I say that, but and so checked out a few places, and eventually wound up at Hope. It was a guy that I'd worked with, who his dad, ironically, was a Methodist pastor, minister, and said, "Hey, check out Hope." I was really into music, and so I went, and people are clapping. I'm like, "You can't clap in church. What are you doing?" And I grew up in a very small Lutheran church, just like Jesus did, and like, you can't do that. And by the third time, though, I was hooked. I mean, it was, I could just feel God. I didn't know it at the time, but just kind of God moving in my life. And we took Alpha within a year or so of going to Hope, and it was during the Holy Spirit retreat. Actually, during Alpha is when God became real to me. I remember standing up and taking communion there, and just weeping, but it wasn't sad. It was just joy, and just feeling the presence of God for the first time ever in my life. And it's been a awesome, amazing journey ever since, and perfect, Andy, right? Because as Christians, our lives are perfect once we believe
Yes.
in God.
Well,
So
not be you. That's why you're on the show, because you've got it figured out. So
that's right. That's right. All my wildest dreams came true. All my problems went away. So yeah, but not at all how it is. But but my life has been completely different in the best way ever since then.
That's awesome. And I know that you're thankful for that. I'm thankful for that. I think a lot of people, right? This is what happens is we start to follow Jesus. We start to orient around him, his teachings, his reality, his love, and that impacts other people. So yeah, thank you and good job summarizing your story. Like that was very succinct. That was very good. That's really challenging, at least for a scatterbrained person like me. So I'll tell you, like, this topic resonates with me. I like to say I've been intentionally trying to be an apprentice of Jesus, or trying to follow Jesus for a couple decades now. Been working on it. Certainly, like you said, I don't have it all figured out. I know, all kidding aside, I know you would say you don't either. Tell us about some of the challenges, like where is it maybe that you feel like you've gotten off track, or there have been things where God, maybe seasons of time where God has felt distant or hard, or things like that. What is, as you try and intentionally orient your life and follow Jesus, what are some of the challenges you've experienced with that?
Yeah, and my challenges are probably like everybody else's out there too, right? I mean, we live in these times where there's a pandemic, right? And so there's a lot of fear and anxiety, and it's so easy to get sucked into that. And for me, and I did for a while into COVID, and it was, I realized that if my morning routine had become, I get up in the morning, I watch the Today Show, and I think if you watch that, or really a lot of other news channels that or news shows, everybody's getting COVID, everybody's dying, the world is coming to an end, right? I'm like, what a bright, cheery way to wake up in the morning, you know? Um, and so that casts a lot of fear and anxiety onto me until I kind of recognize that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's what kind of, I'm in a cruddy mood and not feeling it. So, you know, I have to change up that routine. Um, but you know, being stuck in quarantine, that's a challenge too, because right, because God didn't create us to just live in quarantine and live in solitude and just do life on our own. You know, He created us to do life together, and that may mean different things to different people. But you know, being stuck in our homes like a lot of people were and continue to be is tough. And thank God for technology like, you know, Zoom, WebEx, and others. But um, trying to find the balance though between making good, smart, healthy decisions, but also not losing your mind, right? For lack of a better term,
Yeah.
that's tough. And so that throws a wrench in everybody's plans as well. Is just trying to figure it all out because none of us have ever been through this, and so we're trying to figure it out along the way, you know. And so I'm thankful for there's people like you and other friends and other pastors who I've spoken to over these past, you know, gosh, what, 8 months now, something like that. Just to get little tidbits of, you know, sometimes just making it through the day and but other times it's been a lot of joy. And we're in our new normal. I hate that term, the new normal, right?
Yeah.
And hopefully it's a temporary normal, but you know, for me, it's kind of routine too. And just figuring those things out helps not just survive, but thrive and to go about my day with joy. And that's my goal. I mean, I think, you know, that's probably everybody's goal. They want to have joy or be happy, whatever that is to them, but live their life and live each day in, you know, with contentness. Is that a word, Andy? Contentness?
Yeah, it
We'll
is
say
now.
content, joy, happiness, whatever it is, right? But you don't want to be walking through the day like, oh, this sucks. You know, when's the pandemic gonna end, right? I mean, I think if that's our attitude, then I think we're missing opportunities too. Because I think that there's so many opportunities for change and to excel in different things and just to pivot in life. And you know, you have to pivot if you want to not just be successful or be happy, but
Right.
really thrive in life. And I think this is
Yeah.
a good opportunity to do that.
So one of the things that you just got me thinking about as you're talking about pivoting, as you're talking about community, and you know, I've often said actually that life is it's not a solo sport. It is definitely a team sport, and I think that's true of our faith as well. I mean, there's a reason, right? Even God Himself, in His very DNA as the Trinity, right? I always laugh because I think of the Trinity as like the three amigos, right? Summoning the invisible swordsman. Anyway, we'll get back to that later, but
That's next week's topic. Yeah.
right, but God in His very DNA, he's always in community. The three are in community as one, and so of course, like we're wired for that as well. We're made in the image of God. And as I look at Jesus' life and the way that He lived, in fact, we used to teach this concept in a course here called the Core Class at Hope. Just I always thought about Jesus had three great loves, and one was His relationship with His Father. The second was with His community, and then the third was with it was His relationship with the world around Him. And sometimes Christians will say, "Oh, the world, that's bad. Oh, be in the world but not of it," right? But also Jesus spent a lot of time engaging the world around Him, loving it, serving, caring for it, all those things. And I've come to see those three great loves. If the third one there around the world is kind of our mission to it, and again to get to the purpose, right? I have found that to be really helpful at as one of I have never found myself, I'll say it the opposite actually, in a phase in life where all three of those were in a hard spot at the same time. It always seems like one of those have come through stronger in those seasons. So just an example, right? When I'm in conflict with somebody, I can't tell you sometimes, like especially if it's tearing me up inside, how helpful it is to be able to talk to God, right? So that relationship, prayerful connection with God it influences the way I connect to other people. But then when God feels distant, man, other people have been huge, and the same with mission and those things. I think sometimes like we just think, well, I'm supposed to get up and read my Bible every morning, and that'll be my. Of course, you do it in the morning, right? You would never read the Bible at night, or like.
Of course.
And I think some people just think like, okay, these are all the things I should do, or I have to do, or whatever. And I've always appreciated the way you've talked about your connection with God as a relationship and something that's living and breathing and dynamic as well. So maybe this other question then to kind of wrestle with here is how do you cultivate your connection with God? I know you're one of these guys that's in this for the long haul, right? You are what I would describe as, when you think about, I work at a church, so we think about stages of faith development. There are stages we go through towards maturing and things like that. And I would call you a servant leader, right? Somebody who's all in. You get your purpose. In fact, you're finding ways to help other people connect with that. And so how do you stay passionate about being connected to God, and how do you uh, keep growing in your faith? What does it look like for you to keep doing that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that, a lot of it boils down to pursuit, in that we are to continuously keep pursuing God, right, as He pursues us. And I don't think we're ever, like, I got it, right?
Right.
I don't have to do anything else. It's just, I mean, it's just, we're constantly chasing Him and He's chasing us. And it's because I love God and God loves me. And I know that. And it's keep getting closer to Him. Kind of like, our, probably with you and Heather and Teresa and I, just, you want to always connect with your spouse and get closer, right? And that's how it is with God. And so for me, as I talked about, after COVID started, with my routine, I was watching the Today Show and all that, and just wasn't going well. I'm like, okay, I got to change things up. And so part of what I did, maybe not necessarily a God thing, but I started my mornings watching The Office, right? So I'm like, okay, let's start off with some humor, And they do actually talk about God and Jesus in a few episodes. I'm reaching there a little bit, but I went from, okay, let's start with some humor, and then I went into, I do plans in the Bible app. If people watching don't have Bible app on their phone, highly recommended. There's one called the U version. You have plans.
Yeah.
You can look based on. You can write, look at plans on love and purpose and anxiety and fear and anything, right? And so I started doing that each day, and then I would either I literally get on my knees here and just pray to God. Another time, and I pray in various capacities every day, but other times during the morning, I'll go straight to journaling. And
Mm.
I think when I've done journaling, I know when I've done journaling in the past, it's like, okay, I have to get every thought out that I have, every negative or positive thought, I have to get it all out on paper. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that too, and that's maybe why they don't journal. But I'm like, you know what? You don't have to do that. And so I'll spend some time, and I'm not a writer, but for whatever reason, like when the pen hits the paper, it just goes. And I might have 5, 6, 7, 10 sentences, I don't know, about just whatever I'm feeling, good or bad. But it's all in a way of connecting with God. So I feel like God just works through me in that way and helps me put my thoughts on paper, which ultimately connects me more so to Him.
Yeah.
Beyond that, I have a men's group that we meet every Saturday morning, some in person, some online, given kind of what's going on. So I surround myself with those guys. Weekend worship, again, whether you're at church in person or worshiping online somewhere. I mean, it's surrounding yourself in every capacity with God. And like me, see like the art stuff here, the cross behind me. Let's get into the Perry Ross art room here, as I have 4. This one you can't see over here, but
Perry is our
just,
worship leader at Lutheran Church of Hope, who also loves to paint and brew coffee, by the way.
That's
right.
Free commercial, Perry.
Roast coffee, yes.
That's right. But it's surrounding myself in every facet. So this is my home office. When I'm at the office, which isn't often, I have stuff there, some Bible verses kind of on display on my desk, and some other art. You've heard the saying that you kind of become the average of the 5 or 10 people, whatever it is that you hang out with. So people who are maybe struggling in their relationship with God, ask, who are you hanging out with, right?
Yeah.
Not that we're called to be in holy huddles, but I think God wants us to be in a community of believers, right? Not just so we can stay there, but I think that being in that community, being in small groups, going to church, that's training to go out into the world and love the people who need to be loved, loving your neighbor, which is everybody, right?
Right.
And so it's surrounding myself with people like that. You know, I've started a thing here probably a few months ago